Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Cinderella. Hear ye! This shall be the non-spoiler version! In that regard, go see this film. It is very well made. It's a true remake, not a reimagining. And all they did was add a little bit more exposition about Cinderella's family and add in a couple more bumps into the prince unknowingly. It's a very, very well done film with some of the best music I've heard in a long time. Fun fact for those who want to know, when Cinderella and the prince are dancing, guess what song's playing in the background? Just some random orchestral piece? No, it's actually the song that they sang during the original cartoon, just minus the words and the triple embellishments. It's pretty interesting. So, as I said, go see this film. It's very well done. The spoiler section is not going to contain much more than that. So, enjoy. By order of the king, we shall proceed into the spoiler version. Thank you, random announcer guy. He gets more lines in the movie than most of the sisters do. With that said, going into this spoiler version, I'm not really going to label off the good things because, like Intimidation Game, everything was good. It's just one of those movies that what you can talk about are the little nitpicks and things you had bad about it. So with that said, I'm going into this with the bad things. And the only things that really bugged me inside this film are the pacing. The beginning of this movie is pretty damn slow. If you're expecting to take your kids to this, with the exception of a few of the little girls that were inside of my theater, none of the kids were staying still for this. Most of them were whining, crying, being obnoxious. They are not going to sit down and watch this film. It's made for more us who know the original source material. With a cartoon, it's a lot easier to keep their attention because it's animated. It's bright, it's colorful, there's singing, and there's even a talking mice. Which they actually do something funny with the mice and the cat that is completely in character of the entire film. It's pretty funny. But the beginning of this movie dragged so much. They went into everything about the backstory with Cinderella. Her real name's actually Ella. Cinder was added by the stepsisters to insult her even more. But you actually get to meet her mother and father and showed their happy relationship in that completely Disney-esque, we're so happy, you guys are about to die, aren't you? Kind of way. It's just one of those ones that you know what's going to happen to them, and it's really, really heartbreaking and emotional when she gets shoved into Lady Tremaine's life. Which brings me to point 2 that's a problem with this. Lady Tremaine and her sisters. Now, not to say anything against their actresses, because they all did very, very good jobs. And I've seen the original stage production. I've seen the stage productions. I've seen the cartoon. I've seen every version of these people in everything. And to say that they were over the top in this would be an understatement. For having all of these very serious moments and plot points and characters in this film, having villains who are this over the top, and just the borderline way that they treat her is very, very, very accurate to the original story. But from this live action production, it doesn't quite mesh. That's not to say that they did a horrible job. I would in fact say that Lady Tremaine is probably one of the more three-dimensional villains I've ever seen in a Disney production. In fact, they actually expand on that by giving her a backstory where she started off in the same place as Cinderella. She had a happy husband, she had 2 beautiful daughters, and then her husband dies, thus ending her happily ever after. She then marries Cinderella's father to try to regain that happiness and for the benefit of her daughters because he's a very, very profitable merchant. Although she doesn't love him, she tries to, but he can't get over Cinderella's mother at all. But she puts up with it until he dies. And once he dies, I'm sorry to say, but there's really nothing left for her to hold on to. So she turns into a very cruel and rather mean-spirited person. That is how you do a three-dimensional villain, people. She is very clear-cut, and even when she figures out who Cinderella is, that she was the person at the ball who screwed everything up for her plans and whatnot, rather than just immediately lock her in the tower so no one can find her again, she actually tries to use Cinderella to get her daughters into a much better position in life. By saying that once she's married her, she's going to make Leia Tremaine the head of the palace house, and then she's going to start taking over and manage the prince for everybody. She's actually intelligent enough to see an opportunity and act on it, rather than just be, I hate you, which is what the original cartoon gave us. So, although they were over-the-top cartoonish, I don't count as a bad side, but I can see other people probably giving this a bad rating because of that. But that leads me into my third point, and that's the Archduke. By God, did they ruin him. If you remember the original cartoon, the Archduke is that spiny little guy with the monocle who goes around like this, and ooh, we need to find this princess so that we can marry off the prince. Ooh. In this, he's a scheming, backstabbing son of a bitch who tries to pawn off the prince to a neighboring country for advantage. Yeah, a bit of a change there, isn't it? Just a little bit of a change. And I felt that it wasn't needed at all. This entire subplot basically goes nowhere. It's a very, very blatant attempt to add more tension at the end, which we don't need. It's tension enough to know that Cinderella's locked in the tower and they're about to leave. And the reveal that the prince was with them the whole time, I'm sorry, I don't care if he's inside of the honor guard garb, somebody would recognize the prince, especially the Archduke. And after all of this is resolved, it goes nowhere. After Cinderella gets out of the tower, the narration says that he and Lady Tremaine go off and never return to the country again. Okay? That's kind of weird. So, why put it in there to begin with? I don't know. Seriously? Yeah, I don't know. It's just there. Tension, I guess? Well, there was one other changed character we should probably talk about, although I wouldn't call it bad, just weird. And that would be, of course, the fairy godmother, played by Helena Bonham Carter. I have nothing against Helena Bonham Carter. I think that she can be a very good actress. Excels in playing crazy. She does not excel in playing the fairy godmother. She tries to play her off a little bit more quirky, and they actually do some very clever things by actually having her inside of old woman garb and carrying around a little stick, or she's hobbling about. You'd think that there'd be a couple more times where she bumps into Cinderella to give her advice before the overall reveal. But no, she only bumps into her once. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just seems like wasted potential. And then after she changes, Helena Bonham Carter, as the fairy godmother, looks like Glinda the Good Witch from freaking Wizard of Oz. And it's so blatantly obvious that's what they were trying to go with the dress design, that it's really distracting. I don't say that this is a bad thing. I just say, why rip off that source material? Why not make her more like the original fairy godmother? Because the way that Helena Bonham Carter acts in this is nothing like any version of the fairy godmother I've seen in any production anywhere. She's forgetful. She doesn't explain things. She says, oh, we have to hurry. And then it looks like she's got Botox because she's got her stretched out, teeth showing. I got to talk like this, and, oh, I should probably find some pumpkins. Bibbidi-bobbidi-doo! And this is really the best that you could come up with, Disney, for a reimagining of the fairy godmother? Really? Really? Now, I don't say that it was a bad thing. I didn't like it, though. It was completely disregarding what the fairy godmother meant. The fairy godmother explained everything. Why she's getting the magic. She doesn't forget to tell her about the midnight stuff, which Helena Bonham Carter almost forgets. And she actually has a plan about how she's doing this. Helena Bonham Carter feels more like she's reacting to everything. Like, oh, yes, by the way, we need to do something about those shoes. Glass! This dress could use some work. How about spruce it up a bit? Maybe make a nice shade of blue instead. Boo! Oh, I almost forgot. You have to be back before the last stroke of the bell at midnight, or else the magic will fade away. That's seriously how she delivers that line. And why would you change that? The fairy godmother is supposed to be a parental figure, someone who's uplifting, somebody who can actually talk. So I don't say that it's bad, I just say that I don't like it. So, without further ado, hear ye, thou shalt say the final verdict. The final verdict, go see this film. It's worth every penny that you spend inside the theaters, and you're going to love it. The kids might not find it as entertaining as you hope, but you will definitely think it is. So, without further ado, see you all next time.